Feeling quite playful today.
Good, good. And
we are live.
We are live, I think. There we are live.
We are live and alive.
We're going to share this onto our groups. Here we are live.
Let us know if you're watching this live, put hashtag live. Let us know if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. Share this out if you have any friends or groups that you're a part of. I think we're going to go quite deep today, Ben. Got a feeling.
Yeah, okay. Okay, this is Ben's Business Podcast. I'm going to call myself King Ben the Third to compete with Luke Scott the Third. Plus, I'm on my King chair. And I have the pleasure of introducing Luke Scott the Third, who is the founder of quantum regression and integration therapy, Q-Rit. He's also the founder of Standout Speakers Academy and a world-renowned spiritual mentor and speaker, helping people become truly successful, empowering them to consciously create freedom, love, and purpose in their life. So welcome, Luke.
It is my absolute pleasure. I love when people introduce me. I do emceeing, so I introduce a lot of people on stage at our events as well. And it's cool to see what people's perspectives are of you and what they choose to bring in.
Yeah.
So I love that last part you said about helping people get more love and joy and freedom.
Yeah.
I'm just heading out tonight. I'm speaking at a festival. I'm running 5 workshops at this conscious festival, and it's all freedom people. It's people who are making a big difference in the world, who have a lot of them are the odd ones out in their family, right? The black sheep, and we all come together in this big festival where everyone's the odd one out, and we're this tribe of people on the leading edge of consciousness, and it's really fun. I love playing with those people. So if any of your listeners align with that, let us know.
Yeah, big time. And
when you come together with those people, you're not the black sheep anymore. You're rainbow unicorns and dolphins and dragons. It's
yeah. And you can just vibe.
Yeah. And you don't have to hide or worry about what other people will perceive of you, because everyone's just shining. That's the world we want to create, Ben. I'm on a mission to create. I know you've got kids, and so do I. And I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-month-old, and I want them to grow up in a world where they can be fully self-expressed.
Yeah,
that's a big part of what we do with the Speakers Academy, with the Q-Rit, really helping people open their hearts, let go of anything that's stopping them from being authentic. So yeah, we can shine and thrive together. Yeah,
I'm on board with that. So my first question is about the third. So I'm interested to know what made you add Luke Scott the Third.
Yeah, really good question. Most people don't know, or they've never taken time to think about it. And this is one of the big breakthroughs you might be able to have here, everyone, straight away. Anything you put after the words I am becomes your reality. And so be really aware of what you're saying, I am. So when you say I am Ben, that has a certain frequency. It means something, and most people don't know the meanings of their name. So Luke, actually, the meaning of Luke comes from luminous. It's the light, so it's the light bringer. So I like that my parents called me Luke. That was my birth name. But I wasn't born Luke Scott III. That's a chosen name. And you can all choose your name. You don't have to stick with the name you were born with. When you say I am and then your name afterwards, see how it makes you feel. So when you say I am Ben Lang, it will either feel expansive and amazing, or it will feel contracting. And it might have heaviness to it, or it might have lightness to it. So one of my friends does these things called soul path readings. It's an ancient technology. They've been doing this for a long, long time. It looks at the phonetics in your name. And it basically says, if you keep calling yourself this is what your life path will be. And so we plugged in my old name, and the life path was okay, but it was not ideal. And I didn't really like introducing myself as it. And so I've had a real interesting journey with Facebook, Ben. They deleted me in October 2020 for sharing too much truth, and they let me back on in January 2023. I was able to create a new account. And on Facebook, when you get to 5,000 friends, it basically you're not allowed to add anybody else.
Right.
So I had about 20,000 people on my Facebook before they deleted me, 20,000 followers. I was doing really well on the platform. And I kept creating these new accounts. So I created Luke Scott the second, and then Luke Scott I the third, because I saw one of my other mentors do that. When we put Luke Scott the third into the Soul Path Reader, it was an amazing life, abundant, thriving, just incredible. And I love when I say that, when I introduce myself as Luke Scott the third. It feels really powerful, and it's different. And Luke Scott, so if you go into SEO, if anyone's looked at search engine optimization, Luke Scott is Ridley Scott, the film director's son. He's also, there's a world martial artist called Luke Scott. So basically Luke Scott, you cannot get with SEO. There's no way I could compete with those people. So yeah, Luke Scott the third's been a really wonderful journey. It's been about 4 years now of changing my name, and I have noticed a big difference in my life since I did it. So I really recommend everyone go and look at your name, see if it's optimal for you, or see if you want to change and shift it.
Yeah, my assumption on that, I thought might have been something to do with, and it might be right as well, that it might have been something to do with like ego deaths, like the amount of ego deaths that you had to get to who you are today.
A little bit, because my first profile, Luke Scott, was very businessy. He was very corporate. So I had my awakening in 2016. And before that, I worked for a $2 billion company as a senior sales manager. I was very, suits and ties and important board meetings. And I was working with companies like Deloitte, big multi-billion dollar companies. So he was very serious, and his heart was closed. He had a lot of trauma, and he wasn't able, or he didn't feel safe to like really show people who he was. Then in 2016, I had this awakening experience, and my wife was one of the reasons. She cracked my heart wide open, showed me who I really am. And it sounds a bit like a cliche or some kind of romantic ballad, but that was the truth. And that was around the time I made the Luke Scott the second account. So that account was like fully spiritual, woo-woo, out there, all of that. And then when I made my Luke Scott the third account, that was where I'd really found myself. I'd done so much inner work, felt like I could bring the best of that business Luke, that corporate, all of that wisdom, and the spiritual. And that's who I am now. I'm like really balanced in the middle. I can go and sit and have breakfast with a billionaire. I can go sit with a monk in the Himalayan mountains and do both of those. And I think this is really important right now, because there's so many very, very beautiful spiritual people who are struggling because they don't know business and finance and all that stuff. And there's loads of people who are in corporate who are just miserable because or they've even got businesses and they're miserable because they don't have that spiritual practice. So if you can find that middle point where you're really authentic and you're thriving in all levels, that's what I would wish for everybody who's listening today.
Yeah, that's really interesting how you've been on a journey that's been very spiritual, and then you've managed to merge the two, almost like life experience with your soul almost, and become like a person that more people can connect with.
Yeah.
And you, in a way, answered the question already, but I'm interested to dive into more of what brought you to here, like what brought you to teaching what you teach today.
I have a normal answer that I give, and then there's another answer that's just coming through. When I say coming through, I don't plan anything. There's no script. When I do my public speaking events, there's no scripts. I have ideas of what I want to do, and so what I want to share with you is something I don't really typically share. But I had moments in my life, even when I was in corporate, even when I had all of the trauma and I hadn't worked on my stuff really well, I had these moments where I did find bliss and happiness. And it was usually for me when I'm in some kind of concert with my arms in the air, and one of my favorite songs is about to drop. I used to go to a lot of trance nights, and you know, you just hear the most amazing song and you get chills all over your body, and that kind of feeling. I would go searching for that. And then I would go on Monday back to my job and be miserable, right? Spreadsheets and meetings about meetings. And it was really, really intense. And then I met these people that were happy, like genuinely happy. I went to this public speaking workshop in London. That's actually where I met my wife. And I met these people who were sober and happy. They didn't need to go and chase this big high all of the time. And I asked them, what's their secret? And they told me that they loved God. Now, I did not believe in God at that time. I was completely atheist, didn't believe in any of that stuff. I'd closed myself to it all. And when they said God, they didn't mean any particular religion. They meant this like spiritual energy that creates everything. And they would go and they would dance sober, Ben. Can you believe it? They didn't even need to drink or do drugs, right? They would actually just they would be able to sit down, do some kind of breathing, and come out smiling because they knew some things I didn't know. And one of the things they knew that I didn't know is that your brain is the most powerful pharmacy in the entire world. When you breathe in a certain way, you can get your brain to release serotonin, dopamine, even DMT if you do something, some special kinds of breath work. So you can change your state with your breath. And everyone who's listening, I'd love to invite you to do that right now. All you need to do, the fastest way, is take a deep breath into your belly and out. And something really special happens on that out breath. Everybody try it one more time. Take a nice deep breath in and out. Something really special you can feel on the out breath. If you got it, Ben, there's this moment of peace. It's a moment of, I call it the no-thingness. And you can cultivate this feeling. I used to be so angry. I used to be, very volatile, and now I'm so peaceful. My nervous system is relaxed and regulated, and I don't get triggered very often. And it's because I cultivate peace. That's one of the most important medicines I think we can give. And I got so inspired by these people. I went on a path. I started learning meditation. I was doing on the tube on the way to my job. I was listening in London, my headphones in, doing these 10-minute meditations on this app called Headspace. And I started to learn how to control this pharmacy in my mind. And Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, how to change your state. And it's just been a wonderful unraveling, Ben. And one of the things I found was most people, they have so much baggage weighing them down. It's actually really hard for them to get to this natural, peaceful state consistently until they clear away the baggage. So I became a hypnotherapist. I started learning all different kinds of healing, energy healing, and I learned this tool called regression therapy. And it's the most powerful, amazing tool I ever learned. So that's what I teach now. Basically goes right to the root cause of whatever is showing up in your life. So it could be something from your childhood. That's a really common one. Something your parents said or your teachers said, or you were really loud and playful and joyful and spinning around, and then you got shouted at. And so you made this decision that it wasn't safe to be loud and joyful. And bit by bit, we just get jaded and worn down, and then we become adults who are in such a little tight box. And I write poetry. And I wrote this poem. You can go find it on my YouTube channel, anyone, if you want to. It's just type in Luke Scott, I want to scream. And it's this amazing poem I wrote. I was in my apartment in London, and I just realized when you're in an apartment, you have to play at this like socially acceptable level of loudness. If I was to just scream, they'd probably call the police or something would happen, right? But if I was just genuine, or if I wanted to sing loudly, I couldn't even do that. And it was actually, I was making love with my wife, and I realized I can't make love loudly because it will annoy my neighbors. And this is like how most of us are in our life. We're playing at this socially accepted level of loudness. And I love when you can free people from that. And that's how we're raising our children. We don't want them to put themselves in a little box just so they don't upset people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people know about the sun, right? The sun shines. And if you don't like it, you go and find shade, or you put some sunglasses on. The sun's going to shine. It's going to shine its brightest. It's going to do its thing. That's what we can all be like. Not everybody will like it. It will hurt some people's eyes. They'll go and they'll find some shade. That's okay. But the people who love you, they'll sunbathe, right? They'll come, they'll fully bask in your glory. And in one of my poems, I wrote, if you don't dare to shine, then how will the other shiny people find you? And that's how you found me, I think, Ben. You saw me shining, you saw me doing something, being brave. Sometimes not everyone likes it. I get haters, I get people throwing shade, and it's okay. But the people who get me, they get me, and they come and they're like, wow, maybe I can be a bit more bright.
Yeah. They get the true, authentic version of you. And like you say, there's going to be people who like you, and sometimes there's people who can't connect to that because most likely it's their background, their social conditioning.
Yeah. My wife's from Pakistan, and so it's been really wonderful to play with that. So her family are all Muslim, and in Pakistan, modesty is this huge thing, and it's a very, very different culture. In my family, we don't really know what modesty means. We're loud, and alcohol and drugs and violence was like normal, people getting drunk and fighting. It was like just the day to day. And so at our wedding, when you brought those two worlds together, they have their magic, and there's so much richness that they bring, and my family have their unique expression and all the richness that they bring, and neither is good or bad or better or worse. They're just different.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we can play with, is everybody can teach you something.
Yeah.
And we all have our unique roles to play. I don't want everyone to be like me. It's not possible for everyone to be like me.
Right.
I want to meet you where you're at, and get to know you, and see what magic you bring. Sometimes the magic might be the quietness. Sometimes the magic might be the loudness. Sometimes you might be really silly. And some people are just really good at structure and organization. It's like, I know you have your own businesses as well. So we need all of those people in the team, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And could you share some, like, on this journey, some adversity on the way to that you overcame?
Yeah, definitely. When you start putting yourself out there, especially on social media, publicly, well, I stand on stages in front of hundreds of people, right? The idea that every single person will love you, it's just not practical. Some people are your people and some people aren't. And there's a great speaker, he's a marketer, he's called Gary Vaynerchuk. And he writes all different books. And one of the things he talks about is, let's say that 15% of people are really your people and 85% are not. He says, I will double down on these 15%. They will love me so much, and they do. And everyone else thinks he's, not a very nice person. He's like, I'm not here for the 85%, I'm here for the 15%. And I've really found that as well. I do, in public forums, I do often speak in a way where the people who get me will want to come on a deeper dive. And in those deeper dives, that's where we really go full out. So if someone joins our quantum regression course, for example, and wants to become a regression practitioner, they will come and they'll experience a level of me that they don't see in the public, because it's a very intense thing to peel back people's psychology and to get into the like, what is this universe? Like, what is this world that we live in? If people aren't able to hold that, it can actually be quite unkind. You might have seen, Ben, there's a lot of people talking about waking people up, right?
Mhm.
Saying other people are asleep. And I don't really like that, because that's like an us versus them separation conscious.
Yeah.
I do absolutely believe that we awaken at certain times. We're like a flower, we blossom when we're supposed to blossom. If you go and take a flower, I've got one here right next to me now, and you get a flower bud that's not ready to open yet, and you force it open, it's going to kill the flower.
Right.
Kind of like that. I used to go with a megaphone. I'm not saying I didn't do it. I used to literally have a megaphone, go parading through the streets. There's videos of me parading through the streets of London. I was leading the march, hundreds of people behind me, doing animal rights activism, doing human rights activism. And I was literally shouting with a megaphone to try and wake people up. This was back in 2020, 2021. I was really scared, and I just wanted to try and help people. But it just created more friction probably than it actually helped.
Right.
It's like if you try and get someone out of bed before they want to, maybe you have that with your children. If they don't want to wake up and you've got to force them to wake up, they're usually not in a good mood, right? Imagine someone comes and wakes you up before you're ready. So there's a game to play here, and this is what I found. I create spaces, I create groups. So like I have a group for DNA activation and upgrades. It's a Facebook group, anyone can go find it. Just type in DNA activation with Luke and you can come join. In that, I've got like 10 hours of deep dive activations and content that you don't get in the public. You get some things in the public and then you come and you do the deeper dive.
Yeah.
So that's how I found I can be my fullest self whilst upsetting the least amount of people who
Yeah.
want to be upset by me. If you want to be triggered by me and you want to be, and you go, yeah, okay, Luke, come and like peel back the reality of consciousness, you would come into my group, or you'd join my cause, and then you've opted in. I kind of like that idea. Let
Right.
people in.
So you tried the harsh in your face approach and it backfired and didn't work, or I'm not making an assumption on that, but it sounds like that's what you were meaning. And now you've taken an approach that is inviting people who are more ready.
Yeah. So like I have a private Telegram group called the Truth Speakers Network. That is my fully uncensored group. I don't hold anything back. If you're in there, you have to have a good sense of humor, because we highlight all the craziest things in the world. I say we have red pills for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in that group, right? It's like literally like the Matrix. And it's so fun to play in there, but it's not for everyone. And especially when I first learned about like child trafficking, and I learned about the animal rights issues and what's happening to animals all over the world, I was so upset and angry. I was one of those people who was like just trying to shake people, like, come on, we have to do something.
Yeah.
But it's actually really taxing on your own nervous system when you do that.
Right. Some
people can handle it, and other people it causes them actually negative health issues.
Yeah.
I do see some amazing activists that are doing that. I literally did like a 9-day protest where I was trying to wake people up, and it was really fun, but I don't know how effective it was.
Okay.
I think we help more people with love than we do by trying to show them that what they're doing is or calling them names or trying to make them wrong. Just makes people's ego switch off.
Right. Yeah. And for those that I have just joined Q-Rit to learn your quantum regression therapy and go a bit deeper with that. So I am learning right now, but for those that don't know what Q-Rit is, could you describe it, explain what it is?
Yeah, so I do something called channeling, and every single one of you can do channeling as well. Channeling is where you basically open yourself up like a radio. You tune into different frequencies and you can just start saying the words, like where are these words coming from? Who knows? I do channeled writing and my hand just kind of writes itself, and my intention is always to be a vessel for the highest good. So I always intend and aim to be this most clear channel. And when I was channeling a book, I was actually in the Himalayan mountains in India. I was at this yoga ashram, And I got told to make this modality. This was in 2019, I think. It said to create a modality called Q-R-I-T, Q-Rit. And it said, whatever's happening in your life, you can cure it with Q-Rit. And I thought that was cute. It's nice to have that kind of thing in your marketing, right? It stands for Quantum Regression and Integration Therapy. So I've been doing different shamanic processes for like 7 years now. I even lived with a shaman for 18 months. And I've done hundreds of different kinds of ceremonies with shamans from all over the world. And one of the things I found is combining that with the hypnotherapy, with the energy work, with the personal development, with the corporate stuff, with all of it together, I've got this real special blend of magic for people, because some of the things in your life, it's really obvious to any good therapist why they're there. So for example, I've been through the mental health system. I was expelled from school when I was 10 years old. I was sent to a psychiatric institution for assessment for 6 weeks, 10 years old. And my dad left when I was 1 year old. We had a troubled family life. So I had a lot of trauma and anger, and that as a therapist, if someone brought me that 10-year-old boy, I would know exactly how to help him. I would use Q-Rit. We could clear his trauma in like 2 hours. 90%. Any good hypnotherapist can, by the way. I really recommend hypnotherapy to anyone who's open to it. But quantum hypnosis, quantum hypnotherapy, and so quantum regression is a type of hypnotherapy, but it's the simplest type. There's no scripts, there's nothing complicated. Ben, you can learn it, you are learning it, right? It takes 8 hours to learn, and then you just practice. We had one of our Q-Rit practitioners worked with a 12-year-old girl. It's on my YouTube channel, you can see the testimonial. She had real crippling anxiety. Did one session, and with regression, you go to the root of where the anxiety comes from. This girl had a fear of death. It had been installed in her in somewhere that she was scared of dying. You literally cure it, clear it, reprogram it. After one session, that girl has no anxiety anymore. Imagine the difference in that one girl's life now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyone who has depression, anyone who has anxiety, and this might be easy for some people to hold, and it might be challenging for some people to hold. I've done hundreds of client sessions. I've helped people all over the world for the last 7 years. Depression or anxiety is because you are not living an aligned life. There is something in your life that's out of alignment. It might be what you're eating. It might be the job that you're doing. It might be some issues in your family life. It might be some trauma from your childhood that you haven't processed. It can be all different kinds of things. Usually, anxiety especially, it's because your nervous system isn't wired up in an optimal way because of something that happened to you in your life. And so we just reprogram your nervous system. You can do this with the quantum regression therapy. So we're on a mission, Ben. We don't want anyone to be depressed. We don't want anyone to be anxious. We don't want anyone to have fears. Any hypnotherapist can help you get over fears in like 30 minutes. Fear of spiders, snakes, heights, death, public speaking. So there's loads of different uses for it. And we're on this mission to help get this out. We have a course. Anyone can come and learn it, 8 hours. But we're just creating right now a course called Q-Rit for Children, where we teach how you can help children to do this. And this is one of probably my big passions with this, because if someone had done that to me when I was 10 years old, I wouldn't have got expelled from school. I wouldn't have had to go to a psychiatric institution. And my assessment, by the way, everyone, at the end of 6 weeks, they said there was nothing wrong with me. I was a really gifted child, and I was bored and I was acting out. But that was the school system. It just didn't have a way to help these people who have special needs or who have trauma, because they're so overstretched. So yeah, we're on a big mission to reform the education system as well, if anyone's into that. I think we've got a lot of things in the world.
Sorry to interrupt there. Do you think that it's improving?
Yes, definitely. There
in
are
the school system,
so many great people now getting meditation and mindfulness into schools. There are things called forest schools. So with our 3-year-old, we're not sending her to a conventional school. You can go and get a forest school. They do all their lessons outside. They teach them about foraging and climbing trees, and it's in nature. Even when it's raining, you just put on your rain jacket and your wellies, And it's a different way to be. There are Montessori schools, Steiner schools, there's all sorts of different ones. And
Yeah.
even one of my friends here in Manchester, she literally started her own school, and another group of my friends just started their own school. So you can start your own community schools as well.
Wow. What about are your children at a traditional British school, or have you got them doing something else?
But our eldest daughter is 3 right now, and our
Okay.
youngest is 5 months. So
All right, so not yet.
our 3-year-old is going to this forest school where, yeah, they don't teach any of the conventional nonsense, but the ultimate goal is to have a community school where you would come and be one of the teachers, Ben.
Yeah,
Imagine before we had this, if we lived in a tribe, right? If we actually lived in a
yeah,
real community, everyone would be the teachers. You would come and teach what you know. I would teach what I know. The people who are good at growing food would teach the kids how to do that.
yeah,
That's kind of, we're coming back to these more ancient ways, because we know the mainstream system, the mainstream food production, the mainstream education, the mainstream healthcare, they see us like cattle, you know, we're like
yeah,
bark.
yeah.
Just like, how fast can we get stuff out the door?
Mm,
It's not really the optimal way.
yeah,
Although what you learn in Q-Rit, if anyone comes and does it, it's my experience anyway. This was actually my spiritual awakening. I learned that everything happens for a reason. Like truly, everything that's ever happened in your entire life makes you the person that can now go and change the world. Like my traumas, my challenges going through the mental health system showed me that that system can't help me. I couldn't be honest with my therapist, or they would just have kept me in hospital. You can't tell them what you're really thinking, or they put you on medications.
yeah,
So it creates this false system. And I think right now we are the people in this great awakening where we can share information so easily,
yeah.
uncensored, on many platforms anyway. And so
Unless you're naughty.
unless you're really out there, which maybe I am, you can make such a big difference in your life. Everyone who's listening here, I mean, let us know in the chat below if this is resonating. Let us know if this makes sense, or what's getting you excited about this, because you have a mission. You have something so unique inside you from your lived experience and your learned experience. You could easily do what Ben is doing and start a podcast. You could easily do what I'm doing and start speaking. I didn't used to be a confident speaker. I was so nervous. I invested time and energy and about 1 year to learning how to speak like this. I used to be shaking and sweating, Ben. I was, so scared.
Yeah.
Now I'm so relaxed and confident. Every single one of you can do that. You might need to get a hypnotherapist or a Q-Rit practitioner to clear some fear.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time that fear actually comes from your ancestral line. It's in your DNA memories. There'll be someone in your family line that was ostracized or punished for being out there. That's in our DNA holds memories. And I just had a client recently, they were having money issues. When we did the regression, we went to the root cause of why their money issue was there. They saw this family member in their ancestral line that had loads of money, and they were basically like robbed and killed.
All right.
So now in their memory, somewhere inside them is that fear that if I have loads of money, I'm going to be robbed and killed. You can see it's totally subconscious. But this is well known in hypnotherapy and in psychology. Someone goes and fights a lion, they get killed, the other people see them, they go and share the stories, and generations later people are scared of lions that have never even seen one. This is what we do as beautiful beings that we are. So yeah, I really recommend everyone do the inner work, and you can thrive. And when you're thriving, when your cup is full, when your cup is overflowing, you just have so much more to give to the world.
Yeah. When you say everything happens for a reason, like I overheard one of your videos, you were talking about like a headache, and then everything can be a messenger as well. Could you explain that a wee bit further?
Yeah, literally everything happens for a reason. If you have a headache, you have it for a reason. It's your body's way of telling you, hey, there's something I need right now. But most people don't tune into it because they don't know how. grab a notepad and start writing down, what does my body need right now?
Yeah.
Or go to a meditation and start talking to your energy. Say, hey, what do you need? And become sensitive enough to listen. We just take a pill, we take a paracetamol or an aspirin or something, right? And we just push it away.
Yeah.
And we keep drinking Coca-Cola or alcohol or smoking or whatever it is that you do to poison yourself, because we all have our different ways, right? And your body is so telling you, like, you need to change something. So you can become really sensitive. I call them the whispers. I become really sensitive to these whispers before they become shouts. And it's not just physical things in your body. If you keep attracting people who cross your boundaries, people who are rude to you, people who make you feel like crap, that's for a reason too. It's energetically, the cosmos is inviting you to be more bold, be stronger in your boundaries. Don't let people push you around. Stand up for yourself. And in my book, I talk about these things called soul themes. So
What's your book called?
My book's called Find Your Truth. It's going to be out really soon. It's with my publisher right now. And in Find Your Truth, it basically helps you to figure out who you truly are and what is truly important to you. That's what, if you can find out those two things, who you truly are, what's truly important to you, you'll have an amazing life. So when you do this hypnotherapy and you go into, why am I here? So often we find we have these soul themes. We're here to embody something. It might be to embody love, might be to embody kindness, it might be to embody creativity or forgiveness. And there's a wonderful children's book, everyone, if you haven't listened to it yet. It's by an author called Neil Donald Walsh. It's called The Little Soul and the Sun. It's basically all about this. He's a channeled writer as well. Check out his Conversations with God books as well. So in this children's book, which you can read, it's really short, very powerful. He explains that if you want to embody love or forgiveness or kindness, the opposite of that has to exist in the world so that that makes any sense. If you want to embody the light, if everything just is light, then the light doesn't make any sense. So there has to be something called darkness. So when we come here to embody forgiveness, how can you embody forgiveness if there's nothing to forgive? So we attract these people who come and they hurt us and they do things to us so we can then forgive them. And it's this cosmic game. I like to think about it like we're in a movie, like we're actors given these scripts, and we all take it in turns to play different roles in different incarnations. And you can go and look into this for yourself. Again, you might already know about this. This might be new information for you. But when you start to play life like it's a game and stop taking it so seriously, even when someone hurts me, or like I just recently busted my knee, so I'm on crutches at the moment. I've been 5 weeks now of being on crutches. When it first happened, I got angry, I got frustrated. I'm like, oh man, really? I've got, it's festival season, I'm working, I've got my kids, so
yeah.
But so quickly I got to, this must have happened for a reason.
Okay.
And then there was peace. And then I've done now 10 different quantum healing sessions on my knee in the past 5 weeks, and now I can walk again. And so I'm going to this festival I'm setting off today, and I can walk. And what I've learned from this knee, so much. When you're injured, people have to take care of you. Most people aren't really good at letting people help them. Most people are so fast-paced, and an injury makes you slow down.
Yeah.
Most people ignore their bodies, and an injury really makes you pay attention to everything that you're doing. And so there's lots of magic that whatever is happening in your life right now, if it's physical health issues, if you've got challenges in your family, if you've got challenges in your finances, my truth is that that is happening for you. There's a reason for it. And it can be fuel for you. So many self-made millionaires are self-made millionaires because they're from families that had no money. So many super healthy people are healthy because one of the people in their family was an addict. Whatever your story is, you can make it empowering instead of disempowering. And that's one of the big things I think we both like to help people do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've been looking for some children, enlightened children books to read to my kids, so I'll definitely pick that one up.
Oh, amazing. And check out Wayne Dyer's children's books as well. He's
Okay.
written loads of them. Wayne Dyer is one of my greatest mentors. He's written over 44 different books. And he specifically wrote children's books with empowering messages. So I definitely recommend everyone go check those out. And loads of people are creating children's books right now. My friend Samantha West, she's got a book called Flying Billy, and she's just getting her second book out now. You know, you can check that out. She just made it herself, and she got an illustrator to come and do it, and it's cool, you know. And
yeah.
you can write your own book, especially if you use ChatGPT. If you use AI now, you can write children's books, get them published. It's a cool time to be alive, Ben. I know you do a lot around lead generation and digital marketing and stuff, so you probably know all about this. But
yeah,
anyone who's listening, like, reach out to Ben. He'll be able to tell you how you can create a business for yourself, how you can change your life, you know, super fast. That is one of the things I help people with as well. Like, every single one of you listening right now, you could write a book in the next 3 months, start selling it, create a little course around it, and change your whole life. This is the power we have, and I think it's just growing exponentially, this great awakening.
Yeah. Like I said the other day, that, like you're saying, AI and ChatGPT just scales creativity and our ability to do anything, really, like if we know how to use the technology.
Yeah. I have a podcast where I interview people. It's called Leading Edge Conversations. I interview people on the leading edge of consciousness. And I just interviewed this amazing guy called Kern Frost, Kern. He's like 40 years into all of this stuff, and he teaches about that it's up to us how we use AI. Like, there's a type of AI called conscious AI, where we can basically get AI to do all of the mundane things that we don't want to do, and that will free humans up to be more creative. At the moment, humans have to work in factories, and they have to farm fields, and they have to do all of this stuff, but that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. You could make it some kind of dystopian nightmare with AI, where we're all bees in a beehive living in high-rise buildings with barcodes and chips. You know, that is a possibility. Or we could make this glorious world where AI assists us, so we can just focus on doing the things we love and free up all the people in the world from having to do these things that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
One of the things that's stopping people doing that is most people are in survival mode. Most people are struggling to even get food. Most people are struggling working in a job they don't like because they don't know a different option. So becoming a therapist, you could learn quantum regression in 8 hours. We have full trainings how to build your business. Ben can show you how to get the leads, and then you can free yourself. You could do that. It took me about 6 months to get my business built up to a point where I was making more money than I was in my job. So if anyone really commits for like 6 months, you can build a business.
And that was a high up corporate job you're talking about?
Yeah, I was in a $2 billion corporate company, and then I became a sales director for an international software company, making like £120,000 a year. You can get a business up to 10K months with the right guidance, you know, pretty quickly. If you get a good mentor, find someone who you resonate with. And the easiest way for me, build a course and then get someone else to market it. So I have great people who love marketing. We do joint ventures. Collaboration, everyone, is the fastest way to success. Someone has an email list that they would be so happy to promote your product to. You do a joint venture, you do a profit share. That's how we can all support each other and grow. Like, find collaborations that are mutually beneficial. Grant Cardone says there's someone out there who's got your money, right? It's like, go find the person. There's someone who really will love to support you. And that's exactly what we do, right, Ben? So, you know, when we do podcasts and stuff, I interview the people who I want to support. We give them a platform. So thank you for doing that. I know it's not the easiest thing to do, to put yourself out there as a podcast host, and also really fun though, but it has challenges, everyone. But I do recommend,
including having quotes in the background on your video. So children, that's a big, I feel a big purpose with that. I don't know if that just happens when you become a dad. But yeah, that's really interesting. There's more books out there for that. And it's definitely something I find there's when you know this stuff about the unconscious mind and just how for that susceptible people are to children specifically are to believing and almost creating a concrete belief of what goes into their mind in their first 7 years. It just makes it even more important to help children, because they're the future generation. So it's a really big purpose of mine as well. I can see that's an important part for you.
Conscious parenting, everyone. If you haven't researched it yet, there's loads of groups online, on Facebook, on everywhere. Just type in conscious parenting groups. Tens of thousands of parents in there, all helping each other. We're figuring it out. We're basically going back to the ancient ways. We're doing it how we would do it in tribes. We're like figuring out, how do you raise children to be able to process their feelings instead of shutting them down? How do you raise children that are self-expressed instead of scared? And unfortunately, so many of us, we either have in trauma, we get things called big T traumas. They're like, that's like abuse. A lot of people did suffer that, physically abusive. In our parents' generation, it was really normal at school to be hit by a cane if you misbehaved.
Yeah.
That was not that long ago.
Mm.
That is really real in our parents' upbringing.
Yeah.
And you get these little T traumas as well. Little T traumas are the things that can be quite subtle, right? It's just someone saying, be quiet. Children should be seen and not heard. No one cares what you have to say. You're just a kid, right?
Yeah.
These little things that can come, and then they become this whole belief system.
Yeah.
And we just have to do the best that we can with what we've got.
Yeah.
Every single one of you can go pick up a book. There's a book called The Awakened Family by Dr. Shafali. You can all go pick that up. You can all listen to it. There's no reason you can't. It's on YouTube. You can get it for free. Like, it's up to us. I go on YouTube quite a lot, even with my daughter. So with my 3-year-old, and we watch something, we're typing like Montessori training for 3-year-olds. And she watches these 3-year-olds who are fully independent. They use proper knives and forks. They don't spill their drinks. They have super good manners. Their homes are quite minimalist, and their parents have taught them from being a baby how to be functioning people. We don't treat them like they're children. They treat them like they're fully formed people.
Yeah.
And this is a big shift that a lot of parents just don't have that level of consciousness. And so I really believe if we can bring more of that, help the parents first, get it into schools. One of my mentees has just launched a program into schools. Really simple, Ben. Every single one of you can do this, by the way. She's on the PTA for her school. They have a WhatsApp group with the parents, and they're asking 2 questions at the start of the day to their children. So this is just to start a communication channel with your children. So she's asking them at the start of the day, what are you looking forward to today? And at the end of the day, you're just asking them, what were some of your favorite moments from today?
Yeah.
Now, she created this WhatsApp group. All the parents are in it, and they're having these breakthroughs. They're like, wow, I never thought to ask that before. And it's changing their relationship with their children. And now she's dropping in these other conscious parenting pieces. Just started from one parent. She is a hypnotherapist as well. She's a Q-Rit master practitioner. Okay. So she's been doing therapy for a long time. She's actually the person who helped that. She helped this child who had a fear of swimming and another child who had a fear of dogs, overcame them in one session. Like, you don't have to let your kid be scared of these things. Every single one of you could go and make a group like that for your school.
Yeah. And you mentioned about community schools. Like,
yeah,
I don't understand the rules of like structurally it's frowned upon, and not, and maybe even social services can take your children off you if you pull them out of school. Is that right? Like, because if you can put them into a forest school, this is maybe just something I believe that's not right. I'm not educated in that area, but like community schools and forest schools, could you share like if we're allowed to do that?
Yeah, of course. You're allowed to do everything, Ben. The government
Yeah,
don't control your life. The
yeah,
government have no power over any of us. We are free beings, sovereign beings, and we can acquiesce and we can let the government tell us what to do and where to go and what to
yeah,
eat.
yeah,
We can if we choose to, and that's what unfortunately a lot of people do. But over the last 3 years, especially, a lot more people are going, wow, I can't rely on the government to take care of me. So
yeah, yeah,
look at these different things, and especially there's a lot of craziness in the public school system now. I would not want my children to go there. So there are many different options, but yes, there are these fear campaigns that go out to tell you that you will have XYZ issues, but a lot of people don't even register their children with the government now. When your child is born, you're supposed to register them, and this is something called common law. When you register your child, it's a part of maritime law. They basically become the property of the government. So you are signing a form that basically gives away power, or at least some of the power. They become this government property. It's absolutely insane. And so a lot of conscious parents now don't register their children. They have the government have zero input in what they're doing. Now that might be an extreme, and you might not want to play that far. Like some people, for example, they won't get typical. If you don't have a birth certificate, it can be harder to get a passport, but you can still get a passport. You just have to know how to play the system. So with the schools, it's a really similar thing. There are all templates online. Look up freedom education groups near you. They have the templates. It's like a letter template. You just print it out. They tell you all the laws that you're following, or the laws and the acts, and then they can't do anything to you when you take your children out of the schools.
yeah,
But yeah, they will try and convince you to do it. It's the same when our daughters were born. They tried really hard to convince me to have these medical interventions with our children, and we're just like, no, we don't want any of your medicine. And we have our own doctors who we trust, who are non-government doctors, right? They're unbiased, and so we follow them. And it's the same with the schools. So one of my friends, literally, they got a place, they got a big hall, they organize teachers. You can enroll your children into their school. They teach them all holistic things. I can go and be a teacher. You can go and be a teacher. It's fantastic. I got another friend. They homeschooled their children, which you absolutely can do in our country. There are some countries where they're trying to outlaw homeschooling because they want the government to, teach your children certain things, which is a whole different rabbit hole. Join my Truth Speakers Network group if you want to go into that one. Can you see how we're playing on the lines here, Ben, of what I talked about, right? About the level of safe expression on a
yeah,
platform.
yeah.
So one of my friends, amazing, homeschooling their children, but she's a single mom. She was really struggling. So what she did, she got together with 5 other families, and they take it in turns. So each day you send your children to one of the family's homes. 2 of the parents look after the children and they teach something. The other 3 families, they get the day off. So this is how they literally just grouped together with people who were like-minded and like-hearted. Instead of homeschooling by yourself, they're now doing it all together, because it's so much pressure if you're a single parent, and especially if you think you have to teach your child everything. But yeah, then there are Skype schools, forest schools, all different kinds.
Yeah. Okay. That's a very interesting topic I've not dived into.
I started an events company during the lockdown called Future Proof. And so we've been running these conferences. I don't do the talking. I get great speakers who are experts in common law and experts in herbal medicine and experts in how to free yourself from the financial system. We get them and they come. We've got a website, futureproofgenerations.co.uk. Anyone can go in there. There's a member site. It's like £5 a month. There's all the videos of all these things I'm talking about are in there. The £5 a month is basically just to pay for the software and make sure it's all keeps going. You can go and educate yourself on all these different areas. Now, it might seem like a lot, just take it one step at a time. But if you don't like the way the world is heading, you can change the way the world is heading. You can literally
Yeah.
go and buy land and build a community and grow your own food. You can do that if you want to.
Yeah.
Or you might find a job in the corporate world that you really love, working for a company that you care about, and you could kind of play in the middle of those two. You know,
Yeah.
there's no right way or wrong way to play the game, but
Yeah.
as people start telling me what I can and can't do, my inner rebel just goes, nope.
Yeah. 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 And fruitarian, you're a fruitarian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find this fascinating as well. Like I've tested out my diet and nutrition with different various diets. So interested to know your journey with food and drink and how you ended up a fruitarian.
Mm.
I want to add a wee bit more context to that, why I'm interested in it, because of like these ideas of nutrition that I've learned and other people have, maybe belief systems and a different understanding. So the nutritional aspect of just eating fruit, I had this question in my head. It was, what about good fats? What about protein? Carnivore diets that are good for people. I'm kind of like on a casual vegan diet. That's what I basically eat. Is there too much sugar in fruit? And is it always organic fruit? So there's a lot there, but the question is, fruitarian, you're a fruitarian, take us on that journey.
Mm. Yeah, amazing. That's probably a whole podcast.
Yeah.
But yes, it can give you a little flavor. So I've been doing bodybuilding since I was 17 years old. I've been to the gym twice this week, muscle training. So I'm currently aching all over. You know, I push myself to failure. I build up my muscles. I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm flexible. I do handstands, I do calisthenics. Like, you can absolutely thrive on so
Yeah.
many different diets. There's no right way or wrong way or good way or bad way. You just have to choose. I've done carnivore before, I've done Atkins, I've done all the different kinds you can do. Done high carb, low carb, all of it, high fat, low fat. There's so many ways. Now, what is really important for me, when I had my awakening in 2016, I became very sensitive to energy of people. So a lot of people have this. They'll walk into a room and they'll be able to sense, oh, I don't want to be here. They can walk out. Right? Most people have probably experienced something like that. Or you stand next to someone and they start talking to you and you can just feel, don't really like this. This is how it became with me and food. My favorite food used to be steak and my favorite drink used to be beer. Now I'm sober 7 years and I'm a fruitarian, which means I eat primarily fruit. So I'm about 95% fruit. I'm not super strict. I will eat cooked food sometimes, as long as it's not poisonous. When I say poisonous, mostly for me, that means that it doesn't have refined sugar. Refined sugar is a big no-no for me. I won't eat any animal products, meat or dairy. But if someone cooks me, you know, a nice dal, I might eat it. I'm not eating it for nutrition. No, I'm eating it for pleasure. That's the difference. If I'm eating for nutrition, I'm eating fruits. And if you look at gorillas are primarily frugivores, fruitarians. They massive, right? So it's not a debate of if you can build muscles with fruits. But
Yeah.
what most people don't know is I studied nutrition for the last 17 years, since 16, 17 years. Your body, when you eat protein, it has to break that protein down into amino acids. And then it takes those amino acids and they're like the Lego blocks that it then builds back up into muscle. So that's really inefficient. And fruits have all the amino acids that you need to build muscle. So when you eat fruits, your body does not need to go through that intense process of breaking down that animal product or whatever it is, making it then into amino acids. So you just become so much more efficient. Your body digests fruits in a couple of hours. Heavy foods like bread and meats can stay in for half a day, even longer sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I'm really about that. Now, what happened with me I used to love steak. I would eat, it was my go-to. I used to drink a pint of milk and protein shake before I'd go to bed, right? It's like I was in that world. And then I became so sensitive. I would have the steak on my plate and the energy from the food was just horrible. I could just feel it. My body didn't want to eat it.
Yeah.
And you can just, everyone can do it. You can talk to trees, you can talk to animals, you can talk to babies, you can talk to your body parts, your headaches, you can talk to food. Tune into it and just ask it like what's going on. That steak was full of fear and death, because energy is never created or destroyed, it's only transferred. So if the animal is slaughtered in a slaughterhouse, it's got fear and death in its whole body. Right? That's what it is, suffering. And most animals that most people eat are raised in factory farms where they're basically being a prisoner their whole life. I went in a supermarket and I held an egg, and the egg was so sad. Like the energy of it was misery. And it makes sense because in regression, you can follow the energy back, right? So you follow the thread of that. Where does that sadness come from? That chicken has lived in a cage its whole life, diseased. How can that chicken possibly make an egg with happy energy? It's not possible. And so this is what our food production system is now. Fruits are, from my perspective, the only thing on the planet that actually want to be eaten. It's a part of a fruit's reproductive cycle to be eaten. That's how they reproduce. Most plants don't want to be eaten. And that's a tricky thing for people to hold. Now, it's kinder, I believe, to eat a carrot than to eat a cow. Creates less suffering. But if you pull a carrot from the ground, it dies.
Yeah.
If you leave a carrot in the ground, it flowers, and that's how it reproduces. So if you tune into the energy of your carrots, or celery is a good example. You know, celery don't want to be eaten. You literally rip its head off, it dies. It would be like going and just ripping the head off one of your favorite house plants. You just wouldn't do it, right? Because we have some kind of attachment to a house plant. But yeah, oats, they don't want to be chopped down. Fruits do like to be eaten though. But ideally, you want to get fruits that have been allowed to be ripened. Fruits like to be eaten when they're ripe. They don't like to be picked before they're ripe. And when you eat a fruit that's not ripe, it tastes horrible. It tastes sour. It's called tannins. When you eat a fruit when a fruit is ready to be eaten, it goes a bright color. It starts to smell really sweet, and it attracts the animals to come and eat it.
Yeah.
So this is a little game, Ben, and I'm not saying it's the right way, but it's the path I'm on right now. Any of you can go search for fruitarian bodybuilders on Instagram or anywhere, YouTube. Go type in on YouTube, vegan strongman, 1 meal a day. You'll see this doctor. He's called Dr. Aman Ra. He just eats 1 meal a day, 1,400 calories, completely plant-based. He looks like a gorilla. He's absolutely stacked. He's a deadlifting record holding champion. And he's been doing that for the last 25 years. So we need to eat a lot less than we think we do.
Yeah.
Especially if we eat more efficiently. And I don't think animal products are the best for us efficiency wise. And I definitely don't think they're the best ethically. Because when I watch documentaries, that is a documentary called Dominion. Anyone can go and watch. It shows you how these factory farms work. It's heartbreaking, Ben. It really, really is. How for us to have a milk chocolate bar, that cow has to be imprisoned its whole life. It has its baby taken away from it. Cows basically have PTSD. They cry for days when they take their babies away because they can't let the baby drink the milk. And it's crazy. So whatever we pay for, we are endorsing energetically.
Yeah.
Whatever we give our attention to, we are endorsing energetically. We are saying, yes, Cosmos, I agree with this. Please go kill more cows, go kill more chickens, go put more animals in cages. That's what we're saying when we pay for those things.
Yeah.
And shift it instead. Especially start growing your fruits, start growing your own foods. It's a big shift we can.
Yeah. Like, I'm just thinking for potential questions that might come up on some of the things you've said. One that came up in my head is, why do what are if like a carrot and like plants and vegetables are like created and they taste nice, like a carrot tastes nice, and an egg and meat tastes nice to people. Why do you think, just as a sort of to challenge that as well?
I will absolutely challenge that. If I put you in a room with a bunny rabbit and a bunch of bananas, which one are you going to eat?
Bananas.
Right. Would there be any point where you got so hungry that you would just grab that bunny rabbit, bite through its fur, and eat its raw flesh?
No.
We are the only animal in the world that cooks its food. Every other carnivore eats it raw. They eat the fur, they eat the feathers, they eat the bones, and we are the only animal that don't. Now, if you go and get a raw chicken breast and eat that, how would you feel about that?
Wouldn't be nice.
No. What tastes nice on the chicken is the seasoning, and the seasoning comes from plants.
Yeah.
So it's actually the taste of the plants that we enjoy. It's not the taste of the meat. Raw eggs don't really taste very nice. If you've ever done bodybuilding and used to eat raw eggs, they don't taste nice. Eggs taste nice when they're cooked and you put salt and pepper and herbs into them and you make a nice omelet. That's when it tastes nice. So I would challenge you that meat and eggs taste nice. I don't believe that they do.
Okay. Yeah. It's just, what about carrots and vegetables?
Yeah, carrots and vegetables do taste nice. To me, anyway. Some people, they don't like the taste of them.
Okay.
If you go and eat a raw Brussels sprout, you might not like it, or a raw potato, you might not like it. A lot of them taste nicer when they're cooked. But again, we're the only animal that cooks.
Yeah.
That can't be our species specific diet.
Yeah.
We're and we have no fire. Most of us wouldn't actually know how to eat nowadays.
Yeah.
We've chopped down all the food forests, right? If you grow a food forest, which you all can do, you can go, there's community allotments nearby, you can start going and growing and buy land. We bought land in Mexico. We've got 30 families. We're making a go of living together. We're building a community out there. We're like 2 years into that project now. It's going really well. And we want to grow all our own foods.
Yeah.
It's so easy in that environment to know, oh, okay, yeah, I can pick an apple, I can pick an orange, I can, right? I think most people would not go and set a snare trap for a rabbit. They wouldn't know how to do that, or make their own bow out of wood to shoot a deer. It's not like, it's not the way of nature to me personally. But if that is your absolute truth, that's okay. I've got some great friends who are hunters, who are carnivores, and they believe that that is their optimal way, and they are happy to do it. They're happy with the whole side of it. You can't tell them that what they're doing is wrong, because that's their truth. And I think this is one of the things we can play with in our world. I did a podcast recently with a carnivore.
Right.
We agree on like 95% of spirituality, politics, the world, the education, the everything, right? And we just have this one little piece where you like kill animals and I don't.
Yeah. It's such an interesting topic, because I've experimented a lot with my food as well, and I think I'm still on a journey, like deciding on where I'll end up as well. How long have you been a fruitarian for?
4 years now.
4 years. Yeah.
Since 2016.
Yeah.
But there is no way, Ben, you would go and actually catch a salmon and gut it. Right? Salmon are huge. There's no physical way you could go and catch that. Right. And
yeah.
So it's to think that that's our species specific diet. To me, it doesn't really make sense. And so this is just a game to play with. I call it coming back to our nature. I think what we've built up, these big cities where, there's so many mouths to feed. We had to make this quick food production. We had to make things like bread. Bread isn't food for humans. You don't need bread. You can only eat bread if you cook it. It's a very intense production process. You have to grow up plants that don't want to be eaten. Pesticides all over them. It's really, really messed up.
Yeah.
We get taught that in school, that's a part of our food pyramid. There's lots of things we were taught in school that were not in our highest good. So we're just trying to peel those back.
Yeah.
I do let my daughter eat bread. Like I try and get her organic and gluten-free bread wherever possible. But
Yeah.
she does want to have a bit of bread, as long as it's got no sugar, as long as it's not got any E numbers in it.
Yeah.
As close to natural bread as possible. We get this bread that has like 3 ingredients. It's just literally flour, water, and sea salt.
Right. Yeah.
That's old school bread. That's what people now, if you go and get a loaf of bread, Warburton's or something, it's got 20 ingredients.
Everything in it. Yeah.
It's got all these, it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've just accepted it. It's like
Yeah.
we've all said, oh, okay, yeah, I'll feed my kid toast with jam, with sugar. We'll feed them sugary cereals. This is one that's in my book, Ben. This is a gem. So breakfast is breaking your fast.
Breakfast. Yeah.
Yeah. About 100 plus years ago, there's this doctor called Dr. Kellogg's. And Dr. Kellogg's wrote in a health magazine that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And he introduced this concept of eating cereals for your breakfast. Now, that's not a natural food. Prior to that, nobody ate as soon as they woke up. It's very unnatural for us to eat as soon as we wake up. He founded this whole industry. Kellogg's, Dr. Kellogg's, who made Kellogg's cereals, founded this huge industry where now we feed our children sugary cereals, toast with jam, all of these things, which are really a bad way to start your day, or
yeah,
that is a word, less than optimal way to start your day. He made it as a marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Same with the dairy industry. It's a marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Before World War I, almost no one in the UK would have drank dairy. When the world wars happened, they needed a way to feed the soldiers, and the government started paying farmers to produce more milk powder that they could send over. After the wars, they didn't need it all, and then the farmers made an agreement with the government that the government would market the milk for them. That's why you see the government adverts saying "got milk" with the milk mustaches. The government have an agreement, a contract. They have to promote the dairy industry because of what happened in the world wars, where these farmers did them a favor. You don't need milk, you don't need bread. If you're feeding your children those things as a treat or a one-off, I think that's okay. If that's a staple, they're probably going to be having some challenges, IBS, gut issues, eczema, all of these different things.
Yeah. Yeah. Just want to show you and others watching a little thing that popped up, which is quite funny. You believe in messages and signs.
Yeah.
A Sainsbury's van just passing lots of carrots.
Yeah, I do know loads of people who eat big salads, carrots and things. And again, it's like, if you can be okay with the ethics of it.
Yeah.
If you can be okay with that, cool. Some people go and they chop down trees. Like, that's really hardcore for me. A tree is a being. It has its own energy. It's been there for a long time. Like, that's quite an intense thing to do. I don't even like standing on flowers. I don't like the flower industry where we kill flowers.
Right.
That's the level of non-violence in the Eastern traditions. They call it ahimsa. Ahimsa is a way of life with non-violence. You don't kill flies. You don't kill bugs. I resonate with that. I don't want to kill anything if I don't have to. And I don't have to. I'm 4 years strong, healthy. I did a personal best in the gym before I smashed my knee. Strong.
Yeah.
We get to choose. We get to choose everything, Ben.
Yeah.
If you don't like how your life is right now, change. Make different choices.
Yeah.
Find a coach. Find a mentor. Come and do Q-Rit. Like, find our way. Stop making excuses. I know that might be really difficult to hear if you've got mental health challenges or if you've got, physical health challenges, but no one's going to come and save you. You have to reach out to someone. It might be me, it might be Ben. Like, reach out to us. We've got a whole community of people who can support you.
Mm-hmm.
Even like I do mentorship with homeless people. I help people who are on government benefits. Like, we have all different ways to help people wherever they are. But you can only help someone who wants to be helped.
Exactly.
Really hard to wake someone up who doesn't want to be woken up. Just keep
How do you work with the homeless people, and how does that work?
Yeah, so I've got one amazing client at the moment, and he's so gifted. He has so much wisdom. And so I helped him to create his own Facebook group, create his own online course. And then when he meets people on the street now, he gives them his Facebook, they come and join his group and they can come and buy his course.
Okay.
He has a PayPal, so he can set it up like that. Or you can do all of these things. We even ran an event together. So I booked the room, he came, he ran the event, he speaks and shares his wisdom. Like, how much wisdom do the homeless people have?
Yeah.
And with my courses, because I've created 10 different online courses, I have my YouTube channels, so I can give people access to these different things depending on what they want to do.
Mhm.
But with our Q-Rit, so you can come and become a Q-Rit practitioner, which means you can basically run sessions for people, for clients. So we have different clients who, like a few weeks ago, someone came who had no money, like zero money, government benefits. I was able to connect them with someone who's giving them free coaching now.
Right.
We all help.
Um,
We all
I,
help each other, Ben. You know,
yeah,
when you help someone else, it helps you too. And
yeah,
when we can get people out of survival mode, we all have. When our cups are overflowing, if your
yeah,
cup's empty and you're trying to give, that's a difficult place to come from. But if your
yeah,
cup's full and overflowing, and you have so much to give, it's even easier to be generous.
yeah, yeah. That's definitely in me to give. But like you're saying, it's all about timing when you're overflowing, when you're fulfilled.
Mm.
Um, I had a lot of questions. We went on a bit of tangent, so I want to be obviously aware of your time. Do you have another 5 minutes or?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
cool. So we'll do like quick fire questions so we can answer all these questions.
Great.
And yeah.
Let's
Um,
go.
time, and does it exist?
Time is something that humans made up. It's an illusion. Seconds, minutes, hours, years, days, and weeks, totally made up. The calendar we use in the West is called the Gregorian calendar. It was made in the 1500s by the church. It takes you away from your natural cycles. The new year does not start in January. The new year starts when the spring starts, if you're in alignment with nature, which is what shamans do. So the past and the future are not real. They only exist in your mind. And quantum physics teaches us that there's just one moment. There's just now. Everything is happening. It's just in a different place. And you can literally take your consciousness there in meditation. You can go and see these different timelines.
Yeah.
It's quite an advanced thing to do, but if you're open to it, again, come play with us. I've got a few. Go on my YouTube channel. I've got loads of videos talking about time.
Okay. Yeah. And what about you talked about Wayne Dyer. What other mentors have you had or you learned from?
So many different amazing teachers. I think people I would love to direct you to right now. There's an amazing book called Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. It is the story of how they brought yoga to the West. It teaches you how these gurus all around the world perform what we call miracles, but to them it's just normal life. If you can go and dive into that, life changer. And then one more for you is an amazing teacher called Michael Newton. He's got some books called Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. That is very, very deep. He's a world famous hypnotherapist. People go on these journeys and he explains how the entire cosmos works in those books. Neil Donald Walsh does the same in the Conversations with God books.
Yeah.
If you go and read those books, you will be on the leading edge of consciousness. It will take you to a level where most people have not even thought about yet.
Yeah. I've definitely got that book, The Conversations with God, and I think Eckhart Tolle was like sort of the person that I got introduced into consciousness and spirituality.
Amazing.
What makes a good public speaker?
I've been teaching people public speaking now for 7 years, and one of my favorite phrases is that heart trumps technique almost every time. Some people can move you to tears and they've never had a single public speaking lesson because
Yeah.
they're real and they're vulnerable and they show you a bit of their soul. And hopefully some of you have felt that today. Try and just be as authentic as I can and share my truth, even if it's uncomfortable. And people value that because it gives them permission to do the same. And so absolutely go and learn the techniques. But you're good enough as you are right now. Think about how you talk to your best friends. If you can speak that relaxed on camera, on stage, everything will be great. You will inspire so many people. And a lot of the pressure comes because people are thinking more about themselves than they are about their audience. If you have a chance to speak on a stage, that's because the cosmos wants you to inspire those people. And if you're worried about how you look or smell or sound or whatever it is, that's you being selfish. So just straight talk. If you know you have a big mission right now and you're not doing it, it's because you're letting your fear or lack of whatever it is that you think you're missing be greater than your mission.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
If you want to play small, that's okay. But I like to play with people who play full out. And I also like to help people get to the place where they're comfortable to play full out. Because sometimes we have to just decondition them from their childhood.
Yeah. Some great advice there. How does one find their life's purpose?
I believe you have lots of purposes.
Okay. So there's not one. Yeah.
It changes all the time. I meditate. Right. And when I meditate, I tune into this energy that creates everything, whatever you call that. And it's like it gives me assignments. It's kind of like that energy is the CEO and it says, Luke, do you want to write this book? Luke, do you want to create this course? Luke, do you want to launch a healing modality? I've never launched a healing modality before. That's absolutely wild, right? It's been so challenging. And I've had to do things that have been really out of my comfort zone. But I got given this assignment by this energy. And I could have said no, but it felt exciting to say yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got an assignment to clean up the oceans, or maybe your assignment's to reform the healthcare system. I don't know what your assignment is, but get quiet. Grab a notepad, grab a pen, spend 30 minutes in silence. No distractions, just 30 minutes every day, at least for a week. Just start writing whatever is your truth. Ask, what is your assignment? Ask, what am I here to do? Ask, who am I? Ask what's really important to me. That was a life changer for me. I actually made that into an online course. It's called How to Find Your Purpose in 7 Days, right? Basically, that's all. I've just told you the course. I just get you to sit down for 7 days, 30 minutes, and just write these questions. What is truly important to me? Why? Yeah. When you can get to the why of the things, Ben, when there's a saying in the personal development space, when you have a strong enough why, you can overcome any how.
Yeah.
That's what most people are missing. They don't have a fire in their belly. They don't have something that they really give a fuck about.
Yeah.
Care about.
Yeah.
Apologies for swearing on your podcast.
It's okay. It's just changed to explicit.
Passion. The passion. But have something you really care about. Like put your whole heart into something. That's life. That's the funnest part of life. When you have something that's over and above you.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of my joy comes from anyway.
So how does someone calm their nerves and anxiety in the moment?
If you're an athlete, you don't wait until game day to prepare. You prepare before game day. So if you know you are prone to anxiety attacks, which my wife was, and now she has no anxiety attacks. My wife had PTSD from trauma she had when she was a child. Now she has no anxiety attacks because you work on it when you're not in the attack. Right? So when the attack comes, you've already cleared it. In conventional practices, they just teach you coping mechanisms. They don't actually teach you how to clear it. So just find a quantum regression therapist or a quantum hypnotherapist or a theta healer or someone like that. They can literally clear whatever it is that's causing your nervous system to be activated, and then you won't have panic attacks anymore. It's not that you will need to deal with them, you just won't have them. And there might be layers to it. Sometimes it's just one session, everything's cleared. Sometimes there's multiple layers and it takes a few more sessions. It depends on the person as well and how ready they are to let go of it. Most people who are addicts, they like the addictions. A lot of people who have these kind of conditions, they like the attention that it gets them.
Right.
And so they're scared of who they might be if they don't have that anymore.
Right.
Allergies are a really good example, Ben. I help a lot of people who have allergies. If you have an allergy when you're a child, your parents have to give you a lot of love and attention. And so that's why a lot of children have allergies. Like energetically, that's the reason why they go, oh, my parents aren't paying attention. Well, I'm going to get an allergy to nuts. Now I get loads of attention. But it's not pure attention, is it? It's not the kind of attention you actually really want, but it fills a need. It
Right.
kind of gets you there. So we go and we clear that. We show them they don't need that love from their parents that's impure. We show them how to connect to this pure love, which is the energy that creates everything. And then their allergies disappear. There's so many different things that we can do with helping people, because I believe most suffering is optional.
And what are some interesting things you might do in your daily routines?
For me personally,
Yeah.
I love being silly with my daughters. We make up songs all the time. We're singing, we're playing. That's me. I'm a big kid.
Yeah.
To pretend I was a grown-up for a long time, but it's not my favorite version of me. I love to sing, I love to dance, I love to play. I love creating. I believe we're all creators. So this, for me, this is my creation. This is like we've painted art today. We've made a piece of art. We've made a song. We've made a course.
Yeah.
This is like therapy for me, and I love doing sessions. I love doing one-on-one sessions with people, because when I do stuff like this, after this, I'm going to be absolutely buzzing, right? This is going to fuel me up for my next thing. This is energizing because I'm just channeling and connecting and expressing who I am. And so that's what it's like when I do client sessions. I absolutely love it. I learn about the cosmos. I learn about myself. I learn about psychology. It fully turns me on in all the geekiest ways. So I encourage everyone, like, go and find that thing that turns you on, whatever that is. Get geeky about whatever that thing is that you love. If it's growing food, or if it's art, or if it's music, or whatever you love. If you can start doing more of the things you love, your life will be more aligned. Your depression and your anxiety will fade away. But it might mean also you lose some friends. It might mean you have to change your job. It might mean you have to leave a relationship. And so our ego can be scared of change. And that's why most people stay in unhappy relationships. They stay in unhappy jobs because they're scared. And so having a good support system around you really is a big, big thing, because they can all cheer you on when you're doing the big, scary things. And we all lift each other up.
Yeah. And you mentioned your one-to-one. I've done a one-to-one with Luke Scott, and I just want to highly recommend that, because it's really, really powerful. Getting that direct attention and guidance straight from yourself, that was really a great life-changing, game-changing session for me.
Yeah, amazing. It's so good that you joined the course as well, and you invited one of your friends. And I like to think about the ripple effects of what we do. When you help one person and then they go and they help 1,000 people maybe in their life, like this one podcast we do now, someone might be listening. We create a ripple. They get a fire ignited in their heart. They're like, yeah, I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to clean up the oceans, right? And now they go and build a team. And who knows in 10 years' time what that'll turn into. And all we did was come here and share. And so never underestimate the power of the ripples that you create just by being.
Yeah. And my final question is, what are your favorite books that come to mind?
Absolute, like my top list. So Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. He's written loads of books, but book 1, book 2, book 3, and book 4, life changers. Michael Newton's Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. Autobiography of a Yogi. And then if you want to go even deeper, there's a book called, series of books called The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. that tells you how to teleport your physical body from one place to another. If you've ever dreamed about that, like they do in the X-Men movies, there are people in the world supposedly who do that. And these scientists went out and they studied these people, and it tells you how to do it. I'm still practicing it. When I get it, I'll tell you all. I'll come on the podcast again. And but yeah, I know the theory of it, but actually doing it, putting it into practice, I'm still working on. But those kind of books for me, they just open you up to what is possible. And
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Yeah. Okay. I'll check them out. Sounds like I'll be going on a journey. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me, Luke. I really appreciate sharing all your wisdom, and I hope everyone that joined us enjoyed it as well.